Listen, the world isn't a playground. It's a marketplace where everyone is looking for leverage. If you show your hand, you lose the game. Niccolò Machiavelli knew that being good is a luxury you can't always afford if you want to stay on top. People think honesty is a virtue, but in the real world, it's often just a vulnerability. To stay powerful, you have to be a fox to recognize traps and a lion to frighten wolves. Here are 9 things you must keep in the vault. Let's break down the first rule of the game, the one that separates the kings from the casualties. 1. Your next move. The biggest mistake you can make is telegraphing. In a street fight, if you pull your fist way back before you throw the punch, the other guy sees it coming and knocks you out first. Life works the same way. Machiavelli taught that a smart leader has to be a great pretender. You have to make people look at your left hand while your right hand is doing the real work. If people are busy watching the distraction you gave them, they won't see you moving toward the finish line. Think about a guy who hates his boss. Every Friday at the coffee shop, he tells his friends from work, "I'm out of here. I'm starting my own business. I'm taking the best clients, and I'm going to bury this company." He feels like a big shot for an hour, but he just ruined his life. One of those friends wants a promotion, so he goes to the boss on Monday and snitches to prove his loyalty. Suddenly, the guy is fired. His desk is cleared, and he's got no money left to start that business. He's finished because he wanted the credit before he did the work. The way to win here is total silence. You should be the most helpful, loyal person in the office, right up until the minute you hand in your keys and walk out for good. If you're planning to buy a car that your neighbor wants, don't mention the dealership. If you're eyeing a top spot at work, act like you're just happy to be there while you're secretly making your rival look like a joke. You don't want to be the person who talks about being a boss. You want to be the person who is already sitting in the big chair while everyone else is still wondering how you got there. When you finally make your move, it should be a done deal. By the time they realize you've changed the game, you should be so far ahead that they couldn't catch you if they tried. Keep your plans in the dark so your success can blind them. So you've learned to keep your moves in the dark. That keeps people from blocking your path. But even if they don't know where you're going, they'll still try to find a way to break you where you stand. They'll start digging for your second secret, your weak points. Everyone has a heel, a spot where they can be hurt if someone knows where to aim. Maybe it's a family problem, a debt you owe, or a mistake you made years ago. Machiavelli taught that a leader should always appear strong and untouchable, because the second people see a drop of blood, the sharks start circling. If you're in a tough spot and you let everyone know you're struggling, they won't help you. They'll use that weight to pull you under. Think about a guy trying to close a big deal or get a raise. He's stressed because his bank account is on empty and he's behind on his rent. He lets his boss or his client know he's really counting on this one because he's in a hole. Instead of feeling bad for him, the other person realizes they have all the power. They offer him half of what he's worth because they know he's too desperate to say no. He ends up working twice as hard for peanuts because he showed his cards too early. The tactic for control here is to put on a mask of total indifference. Even if your world is falling apart, you act like you don't have a care in the world. If you need the money, act like you're doing fine and you're just looking for a fair deal. If you're dealing with drama at home, keep it behind closed doors and show up to the world with a stone-cold face. You never want to give someone a handle they can use to pull you around. If they don't know what scares you or what you need, they can't control you. Keep your struggles to yourself and handle your business in private. When you step out, you should look like a person who can't be rattled. By the time they figure out where your weak spot was, you should have already patched it up and moved on. This leads us to your third secret, the true depth of your pockets. Money is more than just paper. It's a target. In the streets and in the office, people treat you based on what they think you have. Machiavelli warned that a prince should avoid being hated or despised, and nothing makes people hate you faster than envy, and nothing makes them despise you faster than looking like a beggar. If you show too much wealth, you attract parasites. If you show too much poverty, you lose your seat at the table. Imagine a guy who just got a big settlement or a massive bonus. He's feeling himself, so he buys the gold watch, the designer fits. He thinks he's gaining respect, but he's actually just signaling to every friend in the room that he's a bank. Suddenly, everyone has a business idea or an emergency they need help with. If he says no, he's the bad guy. If he says yes, he's a sucker. The move to make here is to keep your lifestyle a mystery. You want to look like you have enough to be respected, but not enough to be robbed. If you make a killing on a deal, don't change your car the next day. Keep your big wins in the bank and your small wins on your sleeve. When people ask how you're doing, give them a shrug and say you're getting by. By staying under the radar, you protect yourself from the vultures who only show up when there's a feast. You want to be the person who has the power to buy the building, but looks like they just work there. That way, when a real opportunity comes along, you have the cash ready to strike, and nobody saw you coming. That brings us to your fourth secret: your true opinions of others. You have to keep your mask tight and your tongue even tighter, because a bridge burned too early can become a wall you can't climb over. Machiavelli taught that it's better to be feared than loved, but you should avoid being hated at all costs. Nothing creates a permanent enemy faster than a bruised ego. If you go around telling people they're lazy, incompetent, or annoying, you aren't being bold, you're being a fool. You're handing out free motivation for people to stab you in the back the first chance they get. In the streets or the office, the person you insult today might be the person sitting on the promotion board tomorrow. Think about a woman who is frustrated with a co-worker who always cuts her off in meetings. She's had enough, so at lunch she tells her work bestie exactly how much she despises that guy and how he's a total fraud. She feels a huge weight off her chest. But 2 weeks later, that bestie wants to get on the co-worker's good side, so she repeats every word. Now the co-worker isn't just annoying, he's a dedicated enemy who will spend his day making sure her projects fail. She created a nightmare for herself just to vent for 10 minutes. The smart play is to be a mirror. You reflect back whatever people want to see. If you think someone is a snake, smile and treat them like a king. If you think your boss is a moron, nod and act like his advice is gold. You don't have to like them. You just have to make sure they don't have a reason to dislike you. Keep your real evaluations in a locked vault in your mind. By being friendly to everyone, you keep the doors open. You want to be the person that no one suspects, the one who is so polite that when you eventually have to sidestep someone to take their spot, they never saw the hit coming. Keep your friends close and keep your opinions closer. That leads us to your fifth secret, your secret grudges. If you show your teeth too early, you give the wolf a chance to run or bite back. Machiavelli taught that if you have to hurt someone, you should do it so severely that they can't possibly get back up to take revenge. But he also knew that timing is everything. If you walk around acting salty or giving someone the cold shoulder because they crossed you, you're just tipping your hand. You're telling them, "Hey, watch out, I'm your enemy now." A smart person doesn't want their enemy on high alert. They want them sleeping soundly. Think about a guy whose co-worker took credit for his big project. He stops talking to the guy, glares at him in the break room, and badmouths him to the supervisor. Now the co-worker knows he's in a war. He starts documenting every tiny mistake the guy makes to get him fired first. Because the guy couldn't hide his grudge, he turned a one-time theft into a long-term battle that he might lose. The way around this is to act like you have the memory of a goldfish. If someone snakes you, treat them with the same level of friendship as before. Don't change your tone. Don't change your vibe. Let them think they got away with it and that you're too soft or too stupid to notice. This puts them in a state of false security. You want to wait for the perfect moment, maybe 6 months or a year down the line, when they actually need a favor or a recommendation from you to survive. That's when you quietly, calmly, and without any fingerprints, pull the rug out from under them. The beauty of a secret grudge is that when the hit finally lands, they won't even know it was you. You stay clean, and they stay down. This brings us to your sixth secret: how much you actually know. If you show off your brain, you put everyone else on defense. Machiavelli was a master of the hidden hand. He knew that a prince who looks like he knows everything makes everyone around him go quiet. If people think you're the smartest person in the room, they stop talking. They start hiding their own secrets, and they get careful. But if they think you're just average or even a bit slow, they let their guard down. They start gossiping, bragging, and leaking information right in front of you because they think it'll go over your head. Think about a guy at a high-stakes meeting. Someone starts talking about a massive change coming to the local zoning laws or a company buyout. This guy can't help himself. He jumps in and explains the whole situation, showing he's got the inside scoop. Everyone looks at him with respect for a second, but then they go silent. They realize he's an insider, so for the rest of the night, they don't say a word around him. He traded a moment of ego for a lifetime of information. The path to power here is to play the student, even when you're the master. When someone starts explaining something you already know, don't interrupt. Let them talk. Ask dumb questions that lead them to reveal even more. If they think they're teaching you, they'll keep talking until they've told you things they never intended to share. You want to be a sponge, soaking up every bit of data while leaking none of your own. By looking less informed than you are, you become a safe space for people to spill their guts. You get the map of the battlefield without anyone knowing you're even a soldier. Knowledge is power, but the secret of that knowledge is what keeps you 3 steps ahead of the crowd. This brings us to your seventh secret: your dirty laundry. If you don't bury your past, your enemies will dig it up and use it as a headstone for your future. Machiavelli taught that a prince must always appear to be a man of integrity, religion, and mercy, even if he's doing the exact opposite behind the scenes. The public image is your shield. If people find out you've got skeletons in your closet, that shield cracks. In the streets or in the corporate world, your past isn't just history, it's ammunition. If someone finds out you have a record, a failed marriage you handled badly, or a bridge you burned 10 years ago, they'll wait until you're at your peak to drop that info and watch you fall. Think about a guy who is finally up for a massive promotion or running for a local office. He's the perfect candidate. But back in his 20s, he cut some corners on his taxes or had a messy blowout at a previous job. He thinks it's over and done with, so he mentions it to a new friend just to show he's real. That friend isn't a friend. He's a collector. The moment the guy becomes a threat to someone else's interests, that story hits the group chat or the boss's inbox. His reputation is toasted before he can even defend himself. The way to stay clean is to stop treating your past like a conversation piece. You aren't being authentic by sharing your old mess. You're being vulnerable. If you've got dirt, leave it in the ground. You don't need to lie, but you definitely don't need to volunteer the truth. If someone asks, give them a short, boring answer that goes nowhere and change the subject. You want to be a person with no hook for people to grab onto. By keeping your laundry private, you control the narrative of who you are today. Let them judge you by the person you've become, not the person you were when you didn't know the rules of the game. Your history belongs to you. Don't give it away for free. This leads us to your eighth secret, your source of power. If you show people the roots of your success, they won't admire the tree. They'll cut it down. Machiavelli knew that a prince should always have his own arms and not rely on others. But he also knew that if people know who is backing you, they know who to bribe or threaten to get to you. Your power might be a specific connection in City Hall, a secret investor, or a specialized piece of software no one else has. If you brag about your hookup, you're basically inviting your rivals to go to that same person and offer them a better deal to dump you. Think about a guy who owns a small construction crew and always gets the best city contracts. He's proud of it, so at the local bar, he brags about how he's tight with the head of the licensing board. He thinks he's looking like a heavy hitter, but one of his competitors is listening. The next morning, that competitor is at the board office, offering a bigger donation or a bigger favor to the head of the board to switch sides. Suddenly, the first guy's phone stops ringing. He lost his edge because he couldn't keep his source a secret. The fix for this is to be vaguely successful. When people ask how you're getting such good results, give the credit to hard work, good timing, or a lucky break. Never name names. Never point to the person or the tool that gives you the advantage. You want people to think the power is coming from you, not from something you're holding. By keeping your sources in the shadows, you make yourself irreplaceable. If they don't know how you do it, they can't copy you, and they certainly can't sabotage you. Let them scratch their heads and call you lucky, while you keep your connections locked in your private phone. Your power stays yours as long as it stays a mystery. You've hidden the engine, and now the world is just watching the car go. They see you moving fast, but they have no idea what's under the hood or who's providing the fuel. You're almost untouchable. But there is one final thing people will try to get out of you. Your destination. They want to know where you're going so they can get there first or build a wall across the road. This brings us to your 9th secret, your ultimate goal. If you tell people the end of the story, they'll try to rewrite the chapters to suit themselves. Machiavelli taught that a wise prince should always hide his final intentions until the moment they are realized. If you tell everyone you want to be the boss, the current boss sees you as a threat. If you tell your circle you're planning to move to a different city, they start treating you like you're already gone. When people know your why, they gain a handle on your soul. They can manipulate your ambitions or play on your dreams to lead you into a trap. Think about a guy who works in a firm, but his real dream is to open a competing shop right across the street. He's excited, so he tells his mentor, "In 5 years, I'm going to be the biggest name in this town." He thinks he's being visionary. But the mentor, who wants to stay on top, starts quietly giving the guy dead-end assignments and keeping him away from the high-level clients he'd need to start his own thing. The guy's ambition becomes his cage because he announced it before he had the keys. The solution for this is to play the part of the content servant. Act like your only goal is to do a good job today and maybe get a tiny bit better tomorrow. If you're building a kingdom, let everyone think you're just stacking bricks for someone else. Keep your grand vision locked in a box that only you have the key to. This keeps you non-threatening and useful to the people currently in power while you quietly build your own throne in the background. By keeping your ultimate goal a secret, you prevent the world from forming a front against you. You want to be the person who arrives at the mountaintop while everyone else is still looking for you at the base. When you finally achieve what you set out to do, it'll be a done deal. And at that point, it won't matter who knows, because they'll be too far behind to stop you. So you've locked the vault. You're a ghost, a mystery, a fortress with no visible cracks. But if you never say a word, people will get suspicious. They'll know you're hiding something, and that makes them curious. And curiosity leads to digging. To stay truly safe, you have to give them something to chew on. You have to feed the lions a few scraps so they don't go looking for your steak. This is the final layer of the game. Knowing exactly what to reveal to keep the heat off your back. Machiavelli knew that a prince must be a great simulator. You don't just hide the truth, you create a fake truth that looks better. If you act like a man with no secrets, people will assume you're a man with many. But if you reveal a few small, harmless things, people will think they know you. You give them a dummy version of yourself to play with, while the real you is busy winning. Think about a guy who never talks about his personal life. His co-workers start whispering. Is he a fed? Is he a weirdo? What's he hiding? To shut them up, he doesn't tell them his real struggles or his big bank account. Instead, he spends 10 minutes complaining about how his neighbor's dog won't stop barking or how he's trying to learn how to cook a specific dish. Suddenly, he's one of the guys. He gave them a boring, tiny piece of himself, and they stopped looking for the big stuff because they think they've already figured him out. You want to be an open book with the important pages glued together. By sharing the small things, you buy the privacy. To keep the big things for yourself, you give them the smoke so they never go looking for the fire. This is how you stay in the middle of the crowd while staying completely alone in your power. If you want to keep sharpening your edge and learning how to move like a fox in a world full of wolves, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications. Drop a comment below with the word untouchable if you're committed to keeping your mouth shut and your eyes open from here on out. Stay silent, stay sharp, and keep winning in the shadows. See you in the next one.